A very good evening to everyone. Welcome to Penang Institute. Okay. Hello, my name is Lim Sok Swan, Special Project Officer in PI. And thank you very much for attending tonight's event, which Penang Institute and the State Chinese Penang Associations co-organized this event with the title Penang Nonya Cuisine, Past, Present and Future. So we are pleased to have Dato Sri Tan Gin Sun, 5th generation Baba of Penang, and the President of the State Chinese Penang Association, to be our moderator today. So before he invites our main speaker, Mr. Ong Jin Teong, he will also give a short presentation regarding the association itself. So without any further delay, welcome, Dato Sri.
Thank you very much, Sok Swan, and all the staff of the Penang Institute, our respectable speaker, Dr. Ong Jin Teong, who is also the member of our State Chinese Penang Association, our very valuable audience tonight. Thank you for your kind presence, despite the unsure weather. I would like to thank you all for attending this talk, and also especially our Dr. Ong Jin Teong, who is really Penang Peranakan. And today's event, as has been mentioned, is organized by the Penang Institute and the State Chinese Penang Association. So, as president of the State Chinese Penang Association, also known as the Persatuan Peranakan Cina Pulau Pinang, let me take you all on a journey through the culinary kitchen of the State Chinese Penang Association. So, I will show you some of our activities, which I think how Dr. Ong associated himself and also came into this able culinary speaker. So I think I would like to show this. What do you call it? State Chinese Penang Association, we have lots of activities regarding the what you call the activities, especially on the Nonya cuisine. And then we have also able to get our members, activate our members together through this program, because under the Peranakan, the Nonya cuisine is most important aspect of our activities. When we talk about Nonyas, they only think of these Nonya food, the cultural dance together. So whenever we have activities, we have this type of activities. So these are some of the activities that we have. And we also encourage our members, especially some of the Ladies Circle members will cook this food and then make it a very interesting aspect so that the members will keep this heritage. And I think tonight Dr. Ong will further tell us his valuable knowledge on this. This is the kueh, Nonya kueh is also part of this the important aspect. Then we have also, we encourage so that we keep on this heritage, so we keep on this recipe, we keep on this important kueh muih that we can continue to have for our generations. Some of this delicacy, it goes by the festivals, the Chinese New Year. Then we have also various types of delicacies for the various functions and the various festivals. Also, like even for the ancestor worship, we also look into the various types of food which we remember and which we like to worship to our ancestors who has taught us to have all this the delicacy before us. The Chinese New Year, we also have, we start to emphasize on some of these important aspects, cultural, so that we'll continue with this aspect. Under pastry, also today we have to, we also try to encourage the Nonya pastry, despite with all this that they have the pastry all over, then we try to emphasize ours also, right? Right. Then we have the, of course, the various important delicious. We have the asam laksa and the laksa, which is very important to the Nonyas. The pastry, then it's made of various types of the varieties of food and varieties of fruits. Birthday cuisine, we also try to promote this as important aspect. I think all of us are still following this, especially our birthday. We still have the all these important. During the 5th day of the 5th moon, we have the Chang festival, the dumpling festival. We still continue. This is being practiced in our associations for our members and also for the public. Right? We have, of course, you can see a lot of Nonya dishes everywhere now in the restaurants, especially. They are promoting this, and then, of course, at our level, we try to encourage and still maintain the standard of having this food. Then, various you can find restaurant today, and this is all through our effort, the Nonyas. That's why today we have, even in restaurants, we have this. Some of our activities that we have, especially even the celebrating festivals, celebrating events, celebrating important these functions for the public. Of course, the State Chinese Penang Association, we have our Donang Sayang celebrations every year, and this is one of our important activities for the year. That is the Donang Sayang parade, where we go around the town on the Chap Gourmet, right? Then there will be the culinary arts, especially in the kitchen, all organized by the Ladies Circle. Mooncake Festival, we have various types of mooncake to maintain this the very important tradition to have this mooncake. Right. So this is our SCPA. Just a short introduction, and this links with this today's talk. Especially, we are grateful that we have among us here a very important personnel who will be able to share with us tonight this what we call the currently importance of the what he has collected all these years. It's a lifetime collection, and it is a very, very important that we are able to have Dr. Ong here to speak to us. Right now, Dr. Ong, he, as I said, is born in Penang into a Nonya family, and he was exposed to cooking even at home. I think especially well trained by his mother in the early years. And he went to London to study electrical engineering in the year 1963. And also he continues from what he learns at home, extend his range of cooking. Dr. Ong also gained his PhD from the Imperial College in London, England, and presently he's residing in Singapore, and he's a retired professor from the Nanyang Technological University College of Engineering. He's also a consultant in the virus engineering. I think it's a quite rare and profession. And in his pastime, he has a Nonya heritage food is always with him. He does research, writes, and conduct cooking classes and give talks on heritage food and heritage related to food. So he was given he has always been invited to give various talks on heritage cooking. He also conduct cooking demonstration, sometimes also in our association. And he gives a very good, variable talk. He also conduct cooking demonstrations on hand, on cooking classes at the Shemi Cooking School, Peranakan Museum, Orchid Country Club in Singapore, and Tropical Spice Garden and Lok Tai Koo, the famous Lok Tai Koo restaurants in Penang, and the Popular Books Fest in Kuala Lumpur. He has conducted classes for friends, relatives in Singapore, in Penang, Perth, and London. He cooks for his friends and occasionally runs his own supper club. He also has a collection of traditional cooking utensils. I think he's very proud of that. He has kept these utensils, traditional utensils, all cookbooks and recipes. And I think Dr. Ong is also the author of the award-winning book, The Penang Heritage Food, Yesterday's Recipes for Today's Cook. Yeah, I think this is a very important one, which I think most of us should get one. Afterwards, I will further emphasize that today is an offer. We should get it one. So his books gives the Nonya perspective on traditional Penang dishes and also an insight into the Hainanese and English influence on the Penang heritage food, especially Nonya food. He has this influence. And his cookbook provides the recipe for the classical and forgotten dishes of the Penang, and also reveals the rich influence that creates the unique culinary heritage. Of course, he's writing his next book about easy to cook family dishes. I think we are looking forward to this. So without much ado, I invite our Dr. Ong Jin Teong to come forward here to share his experience with us.
Okay. Thank you, Dato Tan, for all those kind words. I thank you very much for coming. I'm so glad to see so many of you here today. Let's see whether. Okay. Yeah. Now, there are two reasons why I come here to give a talk here, because I think the first is that it's good to actually say what I would like to say, and if you all don't agree, you can tell me, and then we can have a good discussion, and then we can agree on something. And the other reason is that there's some interest in UNESCO recognition for Nonya cuisine to be recognized as an intangible cultural heritage. All right, so maybe we can talk a bit about that later. All right, so the objectives, I actually, that's why the main reason I wanted to do is to actually let's have a good discussion, all right, about some of these issues. How do we preserve and regenerate our Nonya cuisine? All right, I will talk about old fusion, new fusion, and Con-fusion Nonya food. All right. And then in the end, who decides is authentic? All right. So this is an interesting issue. And then there are various reasons why I will talk about this. And, we have Nonya Flavours, which is a book, which is a very good book, produced by the Star and SCPA. And I have a few questions I'd like to ask and discuss. And then, following from all this, I think it's a good idea to collect old recipes. All right, so we can talk about that. And then I already mentioned about the UNESCO recognition. Okay, so the title is actually Past, Present, and Future. So for the past and present, we have to actually define the Nonya cuisine of the Straits settlement. In other words, we have Penang, Malacca, and Singapore, and to some extent, Phuket and Medan, because they are very close to us, culinary-wise. It's not easy to do that because there are similarities and differences between the cuisine from Singapore and Malacca in the south and Penang in the north. Okay, so that's the present and the past. And then if you go to the future, this is where I was talking about old fusion, new fusion, and Con-fusion. And then let's talk about what can be done, hopefully, to preserve, well, okay, not to say preserve, but ensure that the cuisine lasts, all right, or survive. So this is what I'm going to talk about. The Nonya cuisine is actually one of the earliest fusion food. And it's a fusion between the two main Malay cuisine and Hokkien cuisine. Okay? So, and as I was saying earlier, there are differences and similarities. And the differences are actually quite subtle. All right? Because what happens is that even within a state like Penang, there is a lot of variation in the dishes, the same dish. Okay? And so then there is immigration between the states that makes it even more difficult. But in spite of that, there are very clear differences between the dishes. All right? As the moderator, Dr. Tan was saying, when I first arrived in Singapore, the food was a cultural shock. All right, I mean the hawker food, well, we were not used to it. All right, it will take a long time to get used to it. And then I slowly found that the Nonya food also is not the same. All right, some are the same, some are different. Okay, so this is what I will be talking about. What is it the common bit, and what are the different bits? All right, and then the other part I will talk about is the common characteristics, the common ingredients that we use. Right? But I try not to talk too long about this, I think, because I want to spend more time talking about in the discussion. All right? And obviously, I also want to talk about the cooking techniques and practices. And if I missed out anything, I'm sure I have, I'd be happy if you all can come along and tell me, oh, we all do this way. All right? Because we don't realize we do things in a certain way and didn't realize it is actually the Nonya way of doing. All right? Okay, then we talk about the difference between Penang and the southern Nonya. And then we have all-important discussion. Right? And then there will be, maybe there will be a brief summary, and then I'll show some references, right, for those who are interested in, if you want to sort of refer in more detail to what I've talked about. Okay, you see, I mean, most of you wondered why it's like sitting, I mean, it's lying down, right? And then also because the screen is elongated, it looks a little bit odd, right? So forgive me, but I was told that you get better resolution. So actually, we have Penang, the spice island, and you can see most of the spices are here. I asked for a physical pointer, but they say they only have a laser. So I think this works, isn't it? Better. So anyway, you can see most of the spices are here. All right. Later on, I will go through some of those. Okay, then talking about ingredients used, what we term the local spices, that means it's grown locally. Some of them actually are not originally from this part of the world. Right? And a lot of this, surprisingly, from China. I mean, China and India and Europe, I think we are more familiar. But South America, you know, our chilies, our pepper and groundnut, and jicama or bangkwang, as we all know, and tapioca, they are all from South America. All right. So then we talk about talking about the ingredients from plants. And this, actually a lot of the, we use a lot of the parts of the plants. Okay. And from the plants, we actually get taste, flavor, coloring, and we actually extensively use the leaves for wrapping food. All right. And obviously, coconut is a very important ingredient in our Nonya cooking. All right, and I will talk about that briefly. Of course, ulam leaves are, integral part of the Nonya cooking. And, people talk about how many herbs they use in, nasi ulam, whether it's like 5 or 10 or whatever it is. It sounds all very good. But in the old days, you go to your back garden and you use whatever you can. All right? Now, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have gardens today. And so it is actually getting difficult to find some of these spices. The good old man at Pulau Tikus market, I think he's retired or he's passed away or whatever it is. I don't see him anymore, Okay, then the other food that ingredients are basically seafood. Ikan bilis, cuttlefish, and so on. All right, so we have from the plants, we have leaves. Okay, now, so starting from here, we have, this is, I don't think you use it very much. This is daun kentut. All right, in Hokkien, it would be bang pui hiu. All right, okay, sai tin. I think it's not very, most people never heard of this thing. And they got lovely flowers. And then, of course, we have daun gadok. All right. This is limau purut leaf. These are young ones. That's what you should use actually for ulam. And that's kesum or the laksa leaf. This one is mani chai. This is serai, all right, for chewing. So the leaves, this is curry leaves. Seri, this is Seri, yeah. And then for the roots, you have kunit, which is not here. And then we have bangkwang, tapioca. This is chekok. So the roots are used as well as the leaves. And this is lengkuas, all right? Or they call it blue ginger. And then in terms of plants, we have the stems and the bark. So of course, the common one is the cassia, and then the ones which are thinner is cinnamon, and then lemongrass and sugar cane. And if you're talking about leaves and shoots, Malays called pucuk. We have the younger ones of the kayu manis. Sorry, not dam manis. And then this is cashew nut leaves. All right. I think if you the old traditional Siamese laksa, they use this. These are the young ones, you see, and of course bamboo shoots. All right. I think I don't know. I think most of you don't actually go to the market, so may have not seen. What you see is the ones in the plastic bag from the supermarket. And then we have flowers. These are cloves, all right, on the tree. So they dry out, and then you get the brown ones. Bunga telang, the flower that used for coloring. And this is bunga kantang. And while I was cutting this, that's one that is open. That's jantong from the banana. That's pepper. All right. How many of you know the difference between white pepper and black pepper? Do you have a plant which is a black pepper plant or a white pepper plant? This is the same plant, okay? Except that if you dry this, you get black pepper. If you remove the skin and you bleach it, you get white pepper. All right, so that's jintan manis, jintan putih, and coriander, tamarind. This is terong pipit. This is the small little thing that used for especially Thai curry. And of course, we have nutmeg with the seeds and then the red maize. So that's what Penang is famous for. And of course, if you go Pali Palau, you actually can see clove trees and nutmeg. So we have the plants which give us the taste. So we have the sour taste of tamarind, asam glugo, lime, and bling bling. I didn't show you bling bling, all right? I mean, okay, guess what that is, all right? I don't think you'll see. That's sugar cane with the skin removed. And the hard part that is so you used to sort of chew these bits and pieces, and that's sugar cane. And unfortunately, I don't know, you don't do that these days. And of course, we have chilies. And then these are the leaves, and these are the parts of the plant that gives us color. All right. So there's pandan, which is green, and then there's also this green down serrani or down. And which actually also give a better green or a brighter green color for your chendol. And of course, we have bunga telang, and you have kunit. And some people use the mani chai to give the green color. So wrapping simple ayah, I think it's not so commonly used in this part of the world, but I think in the south, but they still use it. I think, all right. And then, of course, banana tree, and then these are the leaflets from the coconut. All right. And those thin midrib from the coconut is what we always talk as li li. But when I wrote the book, I realized that it's not li li, it's li li in Malay. And how many of you remember satay? What is the satay stick made from? Today, it is bamboo. In the past, it's lidi. And all these are all lidis. Okay, I just like to say, I think the technique for actually wrapping has been actually lost. All right? I only just found out the other day why this koi kochi is actually wrapped this way, so that there is no point. I was told that it's not auspicious to have pointed the things. All right? And then, could somebody tell me, what is this small little band in the center called? Because I think it's only seen them in Penang, isn't it? You know, when you see otak, I mean, they just wrapped it, and then they put another little band here. All right? Can anybody tell me what it's called? Then we go on to talk about seafood. All right? So, I mean, nowadays we have the expensive stuff like sea cucumber, abalone, scallops, and shark's fins. All right? I think in the old days, they are not that expensive. And then we go on to talk about things like, okay, we have belacan. Most of you know what belacan is. But this is tanah kiam hu, cuttlefish, dried prawns. And then this is the eel hair, that is used to make chinchalo or belacan. And then we have saltfish. These are the cheaper saltfish. And then this is the fish maw and ikan bilis. All right. But what I want to say is that, you know, in the old days, if you are poor, they say you can eat moi with saltfish. Today, you cannot afford to eat moi with saltfish. I mean, dried prawns and ikan bilis cost a bomb. I mean, as well as sotong. You go to a curry shop and you order sotong, you pay a bomb for it, all right? So if there's anybody from the university, I actually am interested in a project to work on differential inflation of food. And then, of course, I don't need to go into this very quickly. We have the different noodles made from basically wheat flour, rice, and green beans, right? So that is bihun, tanghun. These are all the dried ones. I haven't shown the, this is the kway teow, and then the mee sua. And this is our Hokkien mee. Okay, now let's go on and talk about Nonya cooking practices. So, you see, this is what differentiates the Nonya cooking from the rest. And the main, I think the main practices are again Hokkien and Malay. All right. So from the Malays, we have preparing rempah. All right. And then what do you do with the coconut? How do you process it? And then I think from the Hokkien, we are talking about peeling, cutting, and slicing. And then I want to say a little bit about agar technique, okay? In the days before we have digital scales, you don't have a choice. So you use chimet, all right? Depends how big your finger, your fist is. And then I look at some recipes of my mother's recipe. She says, 1 ping pong ball size of tamarind or marble. And then I have to go and look and see how I can got to remember what is the size of the marbles I used to play with. All right. So that is all very interesting. But what I like to emphasize is that this agar technique, people think is very easy. It is not. You have to be really experienced to be able to do that. And you must have this taste, okay? Yeah. So if there's any other techniques you all know about, you just let me know. Or maybe later on you come and in the discussion, because the whole idea I want to do is to increase the value of the sharing. Okay, rempah is basically a combination of various spices, and so what happens is that if you want your rempah to be fairly coarse, all right, the lesung is actually good enough. But if you want really fine rempah, there's nothing like that to give you a really, a fine rempah, because you can't get an electric machine to do better than this. All right. So batu giring is actually fantastic. Actually, what happens is that, okay, I read what a lot of people say, and then they say, how do you grind rempah in batu giring? And if you see them rolling this thing on the tablet, they haven't got a clue what they're doing, all right? Because you are supposed to slide it, you don't roll it. But it's fantastic, because what you do is you just bash your chilies or whatever it is, and it's smashed. Okay, there are various rempah, but there are no sort of accepted name for all these things, okay? So essentially, the rempah is tumis, all right? Saute with a bit of oil. Not a bit of oil, it's a lot of oil, actually. And so you do it until it separates, all right? And then, of course, traditionally, when you cook curry, we always use coconut oil. So we have, so just now, Dato have already shown onde, right? Grated coconut. And then we have kuih kosui, grated coconut, right? So it's very important ingredients. So these are some of the tools you use for grating. This is the kuko in Malay, or pia khao, I think in our Hokkien. And then the Nonya claim that if you grate your coconut on this parrot, it's supposed to be superior. I don't know. I don't believe it, but that's what they say, all right? And how many of you have remember eating the tambong? All right, nowadays, I think you can't, well, because you don't buy your own coconut, you have no choice, you see. Of course, then we have, okay, now, the preparation of coconut oil is a fantastic thing, all right? You start off with the santan. In other words, the coconut you squeeze out, all right? You don't add water, you squeeze out, and then you put it on a frying pan on a low heat, and then you wait until the water evaporates. And then you've got this fantastic fragrance in the house of this coconut oil. And this must be the early version of virgin coconut oil. All right. And then you have this crusty bit that is left over. I am told that if you do mee siam, you specially prepare your coconut oil, take that crusty bit and put on top of your mee siam. Okay, so we have slicing. And I mean, I also don't know, I didn't realize some of these things are Nonya. So one of the things that I realized is that, why is it that I cut my beans at a slant? All right, apparently it's a very Nonya way of doing things, you see. Actually, it's more difficult to slice it like that than to slice it the other way, you see. You try it yourself, all right? And then, of course, there's fine slicing. So if you are doing nasi ulam, you have to slice it very finely, all right? And then this is this interesting thing you have that you, if you are actually doing bayam chai, the spinach, or potato leaves, you actually remove the tiny transparent skin. And they spend a lot of time doing that. And of course, besides doing that, you also, the Nonya spend ages removing the tail from the tauge. All right? And then the Cantonese restaurant even removed the head. That's a bit ridiculous because that's the most nutritious part of the plant, anyway. Okay, then we're talking about slicing. All right. So this is an example of the slicing used in popiah filling and kueh pai ti. All right. So you have actually the main pit is not here. All right. The mangkuang is not here. So there's cabbage and the beans, and this is actually the prawns that has been chopped up, and then this is the belly pork that has also been finely sliced. All right. And okay, on this side is the juhu cha. So you have very similar ingredients. All right, mangkuang, and then this is the juhu. This is cabbage, and they still use this belly pork. So they are very finely sliced. All right. Okay, now a lot of Nonya say, you could use graters. And they say, no, it's no good graters because they have too much water. But then those are the old graters, all right? Today, if you buy a good mandolin, you can do really fine slicing like that, and you can do it fast, all right? Okay, now then what happens is that if you want to cook Pihu cha. Pihu is actually dried fish, right? Sole. You have to cut all these ingredients in a square. I haven't done it all that fantastically well here, okay? But so you can see if you cut it into the square, what do you do with all the bits and pieces? All right? And then if you do Nonya pengat, you have to cut it into this diamond shape. Again, what do you do? So what happens is that when you have pengat, see, the Nonyas believe that the pengat is a festival food. So you only do it only limited time of the year, like Chap Gomeh. Okay? So you shouldn't actually cook it the rest of the time. And so what we have an evolution. We have bubur cha-cha. And bubur cha-cha, you don't have to worry about cutting it in this shape. Then there's no wastage. All right? And anyway, bubur cha-cha doesn't use pisang raja. All right? So that is our everyday hawker food. And then to make it, to add a bit of bulk, they add black eye beans, and the cha-cha. Actually, it makes it more interesting. Okay? Okay, so what happened with all these bits? All right, we have kiam chai boy here, okay? Kiam chai boy is the dish that at the end of the day, if you have a big feast, you gather all the remains and you put in the big pot, except the curry, that is, and the spicy bits. And then you use all the bits and you have kiam chai boy. It's a fantastic food. I mean, nowadays we make this our own from scratch, all right? So, okay, now we're going to talk about the Penang Nonya against the Singapore and Malacca Peranakan dishes. All right, I think a lot of you here today, and even the people in the south, haven't got a clue that actually there are differences. Okay, I think last week G.T. Lai, a famous actor, came here and he has never eaten Juhu cha before, and he must be what, 80 or 90 years old? 83 years old. Okay. So this is what I'll be talking about. And so the thing is, you see, the Penang Nonya food is influenced by the Thais and actually the Burmese as well, because we have actually very strong links with the Burmese and the Thai. All right. And then the Peranakan, from the south, more for Indonesian. All right. So there are differences. Some are very significant. There are some dishes which are completely unknown to us or unknown to the southern people. Okay, now the other thing I like to mention is that the language, the patois, all right, is also different. You see, Penang people speak Hokkien with a lot of Malay words. The southern Peranakan speak Malay with a lot of Hokkien words. That's a lot of difference. All right, and you will see that's why some of the names are quite different. So, like for example, this is Tu Kwa Kien, our version. The actually Singapore version is round. And anyway, this one, I went to a restaurant and they call this Ngo Hiang. God knows why. Okay, never mind. Okay, but I'm confused. Anyway, I wrote an article about all this. Okay, so I already talked about that. Now, I just like to talk about this part, okay? First, there are two things, two ingredients which I would like to talk about. Bamboo shoots and tau chiao, all right? And to some extent, buah keras, lengkuas, and sugar, all right? So what I'm suggesting is there is an evolution, all right, of using less bamboo shoots and more of the bangkwang. All right, and the process has gone further in Penang than in the south. All right, so for example, in Penang, I think there are not many families that use a lot of bamboo shoots in their popiah filling. All right, I mean, of course, you go to the hawker center, they are all that nobody use. All right, But if you go to Singapore, there are still a lot of families that mix the bamboo shoots with the bangkwang, right? And the other thing I actually wanted to say is also the tau chiang. Although tau chiang is basically a very Hokkien Chinese ingredient, we tend to use less of it in Penang than in the south. Okay, so that's okay. So talking about the bangkwang and bamboo shoots, you know. Sun Koi. What has happened to the sun in Sun Koi? Right, that's just to illustrate my, all right. Okay, tau chiang is a very interesting thing, all right? Because how many people use tau chiang in popiah filling? But it's actually quite a common thing in Singapore. Although there are still people in Penang use tau chiang in ju cha, isn't it? All right. Okay, then the other thing which I like to mention is chikot roots. I mean, it seems like it's more commonly used, you know, in Penang, like rempah udang, we use chikot. Even our Puan Kiam Ti chang, we also use. So it's more commonly, it's hardly used in Singapore, although it's used in Indonesia. It's called kencur. All right. And then, of course, the blue coloring that's an interesting bit. Okay, it is used selectively in Penang. All right, but if you look at the food in especially the kois in Malacca and Singapore, the moment you have glutinous rice, they always have blue from the bunga telang. All right. I mean, it's so widespread today now is that I look at Facebook and I see Penang people putting blue in their food, and I ask them why. Because I have a lot of bunga telang. In Penang Flavors, our Puan Kiam Ti is in blue because the author happens to have relations in Malacca. Debbie. Okay, the differences, let me start with, oh, sorry, I have actually made a correction, but it's still there. Apologies, okay? The pulut, it should not be there, sorry. I did a change earlier, but it didn't. Okay, never mind. The reason I start with these teng tok dishes or what they call tok panjang in Singapore is because I was involved in a panel discussion in Singapore a few weeks ago. So that's why I started. So I started by saying, okay, what do we have in Penang? So we have things like yu cha, ping hu cha, hu ji cha. And then we have gulai ke, acak awak or acak hu. And then we could have things like timun cha pak lai. That means the gizzards from the chicken. And then the Singaporeans have got bak wan ketuping, pong tau hu, sek bak, chap chai. Okay, I'll come to that later on. And then you got ayam buah keluak. Now, what is actually interesting is that it's a big thing in the festival food in Singapore to have chap chai. But I think in Singapore, in Penang, we are not so much. We never in my family or both sides of my family cook chap chai for Chinese New Year. So that maybe we could talk about that. And then we have the common bits like hu pio, hi pio. I mean, because our Hokkien dialect slightly different. All right, Tu To Thung. And then we have Lo Ba and Ngo Hiang. It took me a long time to work out what is the difference between our Lo Ba and Ngo Hiang. And then I realized that the Ngo Hiang has got seafood in it. All right. Okay, of course, we have Kiam Chai, but they call it Tim. Tim, I don't know, maybe it's Tim. All right. Then we have already said Tu Kuang Chen, Hati Bung, Babi Bungkus, Gulai K is the same. Now, what is interesting is our Sanjit Mi is supposed to be a happy thing. But in the South, they call it Mi Orang Tertido. So there seems to be a distinction in the Tok Panjang for them and Teng Tok for us, to have sort of a separation between festival food and offerings. All right, prayer offerings. Okay, that's something might be interesting to talk about in the future or something, because that's one of those interesting things that comes out. Okay, the puri ikan is not normally served in the Teng Tok. All right. Now, coincidentally, there was an article in the Penang Monthly about Teng Tok. Okay, and the author described several Nonya dishes, but some of the Nonya dishes are actually not served in the Teng Tok. Okay, so like for example, Kueh Pai Ti or Intangible. Okay, so the difference one, you say, oh, this is supposed to be the curry, gulai K, and I still haven't got sorted out that one. Okay, sorry. So this should be gulai K. So puri ikan is not normally served. All right. Sorry, earlier on. That's why, but puri ikan, we are talking about Nonya against the north and south. All right. They don't do puri ikan. All right. I mean, I'm talking about Nonya now. I'm not talking about Teng Tok. Okay. So we have kerabu. I think kerabu is a big thing in Penang because of the Thai influence. All right. So we have then Intangible, and then they have things like Babi Pongte. Babi Pongte is more closer to our Hong Ba. All right. But they also have Babi Chin, which the difference between Babi Chin and Babi Pongte is that Babi Pongte doesn't have coriander. Okay, but our Hong Ba has chikok. Now, then what happens is that rendang is considered, if you look at their recipe books, peranakan. But I don't think we consider rendang as peranakan. We go to the mama store to eat rendang. We don't cook, all right? Although nowadays people cook chicken rendang, but if you ask some Malays, they will laugh at you, all right? And I was surprised. I went to Malacca and I was taken to this peranakan place, and they were serving mee goreng and mee rebus. I was a bit... I didn't know what to say anyway. Okay, so that's Yu Cha with in the lettuce. This is the Hu Cha, and this is sort of kerabu. Okay, we have subtle differences. All right. there are people wondering, what is the upside down bowl doing in the popiah? All right, so popiah and pupi paiti are you see what happens is that I've got a cousin invited us to eat popiah in her house, and my wife said the filling is a bit burnt. So I told her, they did a great job. It's so uniformly burnt, right? It's a tau chiao, right? And you know, if you ask somebody from Penang and somebody from the south to make to prepare their own popiah, how can you tell the difference? At the end, we get the soup and we put on top of our popiah. But in the south, they eat it all dry. All right? So I was talking to my sister the other day, and I said, they do this, and she said, no, we don't do this anymore. And then I went to Pulau Tikus Market and go and buy 2 popiah, and they give me of course, the otah is steamed and grilled. What's the time like? Sorry? Okay. Okay, then we have what I call fish. We have various other things. Fish, terong, belanda. But they call it tempura in the south. All right? The only thing is that it's very dark in the south. I think they use black sauce instead of, all right? And then I already talked about pork kamti already, so I won't talk about. Rojak, for example, is interesting because the rojak they use have kangkong, and then they have the, what's it? Huh? Yeah, yu jia kui, sorry, I'm getting old already. All right? Yeah. And obviously, the difference between, if you look at the paiti, you have large prawns in Singapore. I showed you earlier on, all right? The prawns are all chopped up and put in the filling in Penang. All right? And of course, roti babi, how many of you know that there are 2 types of roti babi in Penang? All right? You have the Nonya, which has chukok and coriander. And then you have the Hainanese style. And of course, in the Singapore version of roti babi is that the filling is on the outside and fried. Ours is you have a pocket in your bread and it's deep fried. Okay, so some of this, I think I've already talked about this, so I won't actually go into this, all right? Okay, we're going to have an interview. We'll show you a video, and I welcome you to join in the singing.
Makan kuih, minum teh, makan kuih, minum teh, makan kuih, minum teh. Ulun hitam dan kacang putih. Makan kuih, minum teh, makan kuih, minum teh, makan kuih, minum teh. Ulun hitam dan kacang putih. Buah keluak yang nenek masak, istimewa dan sedap sungguh. Udang asam, nasi kandar, kerabus dan kacang betul. gulay tumis, martabak garing, pulut hitam dan kacang putih. Masala balde, sambal belacan, pulut hitam dan kacang putih.
Asam pedas perut ikan,
Pulut hitam dan kacang putih.
mie rebus dan lecikan.
Pulut hitam dan kacang putih. Teo, teo, supi susu dan teh tarik. Everybody now. Teo, teo, kopi susu dan teh tarik. Nasi ulam dan sate babi.
Saya tak boleh.
Dan kacang putih. Pengat panas, juhu encai, pulut hitam dan kacang putih. Leo, deo, kopi susu dan teh tarik. Deo, deo, kopi susu dan teh tarik. Lobak keci, gulai ayam, pulut hitam dan kacang putih. Mie siam otak, laksa asam, pulut hitam dan kacang putih. Everybody now. Deo, deo, kopi susu dan teh tarik. Deo, deo, kopi susu dan teh tarik. Makan kue minum teh, makan kue minum teh, makan kue minum teh. Pulut hitam dan kacang putih.
The words were written by my classmate Manikam Sarawanamutu, right? And sung with him and his brother Jayam, Johan, and Professor Lim Chin. I think he's from St. Xavier's, but yeah.
Okay, now, we have just heard what Dr. Ong has present to us, very elaborate, even the Nonya food, with comparison with the north and the south mainly. I think we appreciate it very much, and then we feel that, yeah, it reminds us. So every time when we want to go for a vegetarian, we want to go for a Nonya food, we see in the various restaurants that we have, we compare, oh, it's not that authentic because home cooked food is more and all this thing. Much depends on the ingredients, I think, nowadays, because they lost the full cost of the ingredients that they can find. I think perhaps, Dr. Ong has mentioned it very nicely that these food are made, and as the time goes on, we have the differences and so on. So I think I would like now to open for discussion after what we have heard. Maybe you can bring up some of your ideas, and also you feel that what the Nonyas can do much better to make the Nonya food better. And I think I will open this for discussion, and maybe you just give your comment or whatever you have, or anything, questions you'd like to ask Dr. Ong. Right? Anyone from the floor?
Okay, shall we go back to the slide?
Okay.
Okay, there are 5 topics. I will sort of introduce each topic and then we leave it open.
Okay.
All right. So, so these are the 5 topics. I will go straight to the. I think we may have only about 10 minutes each. All right.
Can.
I think
Yeah,
because
about
then
50
we are
minutes,
talking about 9:30, isn't it?
Yeah, 9:30.
All right. So, okay. So the Nonya cuisine basically is a fusion. All right. So I will talk about old fusion, new fusion. You understand what I'm talking about? And then basically we are talking about evolution. I think if it evolves, it is accepted. If it is a revolution, in other words, drastic change, I think it is not accepted and maybe becomes confusion. Okay? I mean, the other thing I want to say is that, I mean, today we have new fusion food. And I just wondered whether it should be actually classified as new fusion rather than, if people go to a restaurant and eat all this new fusion and say, how come I'm expecting to eat the traditional thing, why I'm not getting it? So these are the sort of things I want to ask, all right? And then, of course, the other thing is that, how many of these things are done locally by our own local people? How many done by foreign chef or foreign trained chef? Okay.
Yeah.
Open. Yeah.
Open. As far as we mentioned, yeah, the new trend is the new fusion.
I don't know. Are there anybody who has anything to say?
Yes.
Since that you are talking about a lot of new evolution of the cooking style, so is there like SPA? Do you like classify like the certain way of cooking the dishes, and then what is the ingredient to be classified as Nonya cooking? Because now if you have like fusion cooking, then you just add whatever. And from your presentation, actually, you never mentioned about seasoning. Is seasoning part of the thing that defines Nonya food? Like, do you add MSG, or do you add fish sauce, or soya sauce? I know like soya sauce is common, but like MSG, I do not know whether it's part of the Nonya cooking. So is there anybody has actually defined an encyclopedia on like, let's say, Juhu Cha? What is the things that you must put? Of course, like different people have different portion of the seasoning, but what is the ingredient that needs to be put in to be considered like this is Nonya cooking?
Okay, I agree with you. I think this is good because you have brought up some points which we haven't talked about. All right, so I think the sauce is good to have something to say what type of sauce to use. Okay, which unfortunately is not so clearly. I think if you read a cookbook, it would be there, but it's not obvious. There are certain things. So I think that's very good because we don't use fish sauce, for example, but things like belacan and heko and all that, I think are commonly used. And of course, soya sauce, black, white, a bit are used. All right. So even things like oyster sauce is not that important sauce in terms of Penang food. Like things like Ngo Yang Hun, right? 5 spice power is quite common. So it's a good point you bring up. I mean, things like sambal belacan and all that, all right, yes.
The MSG.
What would you consider the essence of traditional Nonya
food? I can't give you a very short answer. I mean, this is why I think you talk about ingredients used, all right? And just now speakers talk about marinades. I mean, marinades is common. I mean, you use marinades all the time in all sorts of cooking. Whether what type of what marinades you use is, but I'm afraid I cannot give you. I mean, we will need to talk like 10 minutes to talk. I mean, this is why I actually talk about all these things. All right.
The reason I ask because I understand the recipe for same dish, the heritage dish, vary from family to family. So there will be some differences in the taste.
Okay.
So that's why the question.
In the later discussion, I propose collecting old recipes. All right, so that and it will be stored in an archive in Penang Institute. So the thing to do is we look forward to contributions of Nonya food, because there are two topics later on which will deal with this issue. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's true that we try to collect this recipe, especially from our old nonyas and so on. And then we try to collect them and make it available. We put it in the archives here in the Penang Institute, so that any research or anyone wants to come forward to ask for it, try to improve on the quality of the Nonya food, they can look at it, so that they're able to get back the standard, of course. Yeah.
Talking about the Penang Nonya food cuisine via Singapore, I feel we have to remain our Penang Nonya food. Like for example, popiah, we don't use tau jiao. And then also for all the jiu cha, all the vegetables cutting are very important. Have to be very fine cutting, choose a very fine ingredients and remain authentic. But we cannot mix up with those in the south. West Penang is always have a very fine Nonya food. People come to Penang, they want to enjoy the Nonya food. They always get very disappointed. Even the restaurant, or Nonya restaurant, they emphasize that Nonya food. But they go in, they come out, they pay tons of money, but they are not happy. So what can we do about it? That's very important. And I think as we who have brought up in the Nonya family, have good, fine Nonya food, we have to maintain the authentic methods to share out to the public, create awareness that the Nonya food involves colors, the fine cutting, the taste, and we cannot compromise with any other salt or anywhere to come in to mix with it. We can differentiate it. Okay, this is a Singapore style, the Malacca style, the Penang style is like this. One thing is that we have also remember to share. We cannot say, oh, you can cook a very fine Nonya food. You must be a Nonya family people. No. Any chef can cook the best of Nonya. We have to share, we have to write out the books, but in an authentic way. We cannot just simply fusion. If they want to set up a restaurant, they can put fusion, Nonya fusion food, but cannot, Nonya fusion cuisine, but cannot put Nonya cuisine. Very traditional. You go in, you can see how they cook. It's totally different. The tastes are all different. What just now one gentleman asked, what is the MSG, everything? Honestly speaking, we don't think of all this. When we're cooking, we use fruits to make taste. Sweetness, sour, pineapple, all these fruits make taste. We don't use a lot of MSG. We don't use MSG. When I was brought up, I don't use MSG in my family. I cook with all the fruits to make it taste. Like carrot make taste, jiu cha, the bangkwang, we cut, how we cut it, how fine is it? The design, we focus on cutting, we focus on the taste, we focus on the cooking, and how the blending, and the green or the rempah. Everything is very important. So I just believe that if we can, in our association, especially our Peranakan Association, keep educating the young people and public out there to understand that the value of authentic cooking of Nonya cuisine is very important. So there won't be any confusion. Dr. Ong said, you'll be a confusion in the future, right? Which one are we going to say is authentic? So many things we have to learn, not only in tonight's lesson, but a lot of things like just now we are talking about the topic, which is just now we are talking about the South and Penang is totally different. Like homba. What type of homba? It can be a black homba or tau yu homba. It can be a homba. This homba in the Nonya homba. Isn't it? There are different types of homba. So also pihu cha, jiu cha, they are different. It's not the same. Like we call chai bui, we call chap chai. So it's different way of calling it. Ngo hyomba. And also like all the thing that Dr. Ong said, roti babi. We here in Penang, we do the filling inside. Roti babi, we put a little bit of ngo hyom. That's a different thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nonya Stella, for all the good contribution. We appreciate very much. Yeah, yes, the back. Okay.
Dr. Ong, I just wanted to ask, maybe you might want to also emphasize on the sequence of the ingredients and how it's done. I give a very simple example. Those days when my mother cooked jiu cha, when you walk in the kitchen, it smells. I think that's what the essence of Nonya cooking. When you walk in the kitchen, you smell. So on the later years, she's passed on, and we tried to cook. Initially, when I do it, I just throw everything inside until my late aunties all tell me that's not the way you do it. You got to, even the juhu, you got to rinse a little bit in vinegar, take it, put this one in, then take it out, then put all the combinations. So maybe I also think that an important point of Nonya cooking is the sequence on how ingredients should go in. And I think it differs from cooked recipes. So maybe the authentic way of it so that you can bring the smell. I think if you cook Nonya cooking, if there's no smell, I don't think that's authentic. Just my point of view. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay, I tell you what, because a lot of these topics are related. Okay, so let's go to the second one, because if you don't have a choice, I mean, you can still.
Yeah, there's another
Yeah.
question.
Okay, so no, don't worry. We can. I think they are overlapping. Okay, sorry. Maybe you ask, and then we see how it goes.
Yeah, Mr. Koi.
No, I was just wondering, on a few occasions when I ordered juhu cha, I noticed that they put this down soup in it, which is the parsley. On top of that, they would garnish it with deep fried shallots. Is that okay with you?
It's a bit changed.
I think we don't normally put shallots.
A bit out here. For a taste, okay, but not.
Well, no,
It's difficult to do it here.
no,
think.
I think the issue is that who does it?
Yeah.
The Nonya is the old mantra of
No,
the family.
you need a lot of resources to do it. The French has got an institution that looks after their French cuisine, all right?
Yeah.
But first of all, if you want to do it, you need a lot of budget. And then how do we decide who will decide? Let me give you an example, okay? I'm going to the next slide or the slide after that already. You see, what happens is Nonya Supe was taking part in a Nonya competition, and she was leading. But then one of the dishes she made, the judges think is not Nonya, and she was penalized. Okay, so who decides? Judges? Who are the judges? I also don't know who the judges are. All right, so it's a very complex issue. I mean, maybe we have. I mean, now we know the problem. How do we solve it? I don't know. All right. It's not an easy to set up. Okay, coming this issue, like the Nonya Flavours. This is a very good book, which is a good representation of the Penang Nonya food. But it doesn't answer the questions you have asked. What is the diversity? All right, and this is why I am asking this question. All right, because I'm asking the question, like, is chumpia Nonya? Rendang, obviously, we all decided it's not. Is there anything else? All right, so like suji cake, would you consider that Nonya? No, but then you see, you all think it's a Eurasian, but there are suji cake which are made by the Nonya, which is very different from the Eurasian. All right, it got lots of spices. It's got it's got nutmeg. It's got all sorts of things. So this is why people give me recipe books, and I have looked, and there are. Okay, so this is the. I mean, these are all related. This is why I said, all right. So what we need is really a depository where people will contribute their recipes, because, as I said, if you're talking about our pork chang in the Nonya Flavours, it's blue. All right, so we have to talk about it. All right, like chumpia, I asked Julia, Julie Wong, and he said, oh, the group decided it is not. But then, in our Nonya convention, there was a write-up, and it says, Chumpia is Nonya. So, who decides?
It all depends on the ingredients inside there.
Well, it's a difficult issue. You know, how do we, how do you decide on a committee? You know, it's and how big can you make the committee? I mean, the only way you can do it is to make it transparent. In other words, I don't know whether it's in Facebook or whatever it is, and people said, okay, let's talk. I mean, maybe today we talk about Chunpiang. Oh yeah, what do you all think? Or like what the things that I talk about, do you agree or you don't agree? All right? Or have you got any other reasons, like what marinades you use? So this is, I think that's the best way of doing it. Let's make it open and transparent. All right. Now, for example, I do not know how Julia and her, I mean, she did a great job. I mean, fantastic job. Okay, but as I said, for research and to answer some of the questions, we need more recipes. Okay, since time is short, all right. So this, okay, is it? Yeah.
Good evening. I'm in search of Nonya Koi that I enjoyed as a kid, but I don't think I've been able to get it. And it is the elusive lempeng. I think that particular New Year cookie, as I would say, is like an inverted, have you eaten it?
Lempeng, you're talking about?
Yeah, lempeng. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's one of those.
It has been lost, and nobody knows
an
how
extinct thing. Yeah. Okay, the reason it is extinct is very difficult to do. First of all, you have to pound your rice, glutinous rice, and then you have to sort of boil it, and then you make into these little balls, and then you flatten it, and then you put it in the sun for 3 days.
Yeah.
If there's no sun for any one day, you scrap the lot.
It's difficult to do.
And then after that, you bake it in the old traditional bake.
But I think that is one Nonya so-called cookie that we have lost through the many years. And it would be nice if Penang were to really establish the capability to bring it back again. I think it is something that is unique, and it's actually something that we should treasure. And I know it's difficult, but
I agree with you. I went to talk to this lady who actually passed away. All right, she showed me some of the dulang they use for drying. Actually, in the Key family in Sungai Bakap, I came across what do we call it? Losong kaki, all right, which they used to, and I actually got the pot that they use as an oven, all right, as well as the hang lo, the thing. I actually asked for it because they were growing plants in it, so I said, could I have that?
No.
Likewise for apong berkuah, because I really find it very hard to find apong berkuah, which I think is a national treasure. I mean, like Penang treasure. We have to make sure that all these are not lost. So I think somebody has to initiate to have all this database that at least somebody is still selling apong berkuah or whatever lempeng, which really I do not know, never come across. So this is a very important heritage knowledge that we need to preserve. Otherwise, we cannot pride ourselves to be the the leading Nonya, because I stay in Singapore for 20 years. I'm a foodie, so I still think that Penang Nonya food is much superior compared to any other places in the world.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's true. We have to maintain this as our great effort to do it. Yeah, I think we should all have this desire to keep up with the standard. Yeah. Yes.
Well, Dr. Ong, perhaps you could use this occasion of your talk to speak to Penang Institute, speak to the director, maybe as this gentleman was saying, the Penang State Tourism and Culture, and maybe like one cooking school. We now have a couple of large cooking. We'll use this occasion of this talk to ask for a budget. You know, once you have a budget, there'll be many people who might want to volunteer their time, contribute to the database, set up something like the French, the sort of standards. And I mean, I don't know, but you are in a primary supreme position to suggest this to the Penang Institute.
Yeah.
I do all these things for nothing, all right? Money don't grow on trees, you see. No, I agree. I mean, this is a good idea. I mean, actually, sure. I mean, actually, can I go on to the next? One of the questions I asked was, if we are doing application to UNESCO as a recognition for intangible cultural heritage, who is going to sponsor? All right. And I don't know whether there's anybody from the JWB, Jabatan Warisan Negara, who can answer this question. All right. Or else, I also don't know who in the state would be interested in funding this sort of thing. All right. I know there's something that needs to be done. The only thing is, how do you do it? You don't expect people to work for free,
Yeah, I think this course has to be pursued as we go step by step. I think it's a high time that we have to look into this and see whether we can keep up with this to get the state government to be involved. Then eventually UNESCO, Jabatan Warisan, and all these things. It has to go through step by step. Right. I think Dr. Ong can, with your knowledge, we can bring up to a few, set up a committee, and we look into it. Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I think we are short of time. Okay, this is talking about the French. Okay. So my suggestion is that we just have to get on and do some of these things ourselves, right? Sorry. Why are we in this state today? Because there's very little awareness. I always say, if you offer koi to a young generation today, they will eat it, they don't know what it's called. All right? I mean, the older generation, they have domestic science. So Cheryl, for example, will tell you in the old days, they learned to make some of these kois. Today, it's no more. All right? So here we have my siblings cooking, and on the left, that's my grandson, and on the right, that's my granddaughter. We have to start them young. Okay, so yeah. So I think basically we need to have some forum where people can air their views and then come to some conclusion, maybe topic by topic, And then, okay, we may need to do something to get support from the political side of things. All right.
Yeah.
I think I just heard some news about the Michelin has mentioned some of the Nonya restaurant in Penang, and I think instead of let the clueless Ang Mo decide what is good food, we should Penang Institute should have something like a competition of the best gulai or what. It's also a part of tourism promotion, and yet because a lot of my Singaporean friends when they visit, they will ask me, "Oh, where do I go for the best Nonya restaurant?" And we all have different tastes, but if there's a competition like who won this for this dishes, who won this for this dishes, of course, all of the famous Nonya restaurant, they don't have all the single dish. They are the best, but they are good in certain thing. So it's good that let all this exposure be promoted to different state or to Singapore or Taiwan or Hong Kong, which they will appreciate Nonya food.
Yeah.
So I think Penang Institute should take the initiative to start this work.
Yeah. Thank you for this suggestion. Maybe we can look into it. Yeah? And let the what they call the committee for the tourism and cultural group to assist in this. This is how we can try to make things proper so that we can have we can allow this arrangement so that when tourists come, they know where to go and all these things. Right. Thank you very much. Right.
I mean, let me just say that we have to be sort of take a balanced view of things. I think, the tourists sometimes like this new fusion food. And I think commercialization needs to be taken into account. But I think we ought to do something about it. Yeah.
At our level, we need to look into the what they call the proper authentic Nonya food. Maybe from this to tonight's discussion, we can go further. Look into make a study and then we proceed. Right. Any more questions? If not, yeah.
Just one suggestion. In addition to collecting old recipe, if possible, do a video recording of the person cooking through the whole process, because it will provide a lot of the little details that are often missing from recipes.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, okay. I mean, actually, one of the things I actually follow up from this is that I will use this material and any help that you can get from people to actually write a book on Penang cuisine. And then hopefully some of the recipes that we collect may actually go into this book. All right. So that's just one way of actually getting it. Yeah. How far we go? I mean, okay, the book is not an issue, but the other issues are not so easy to solve.
Research and matter. Right.
I mean, I don't know whether anybody from the universities who might want to do some research. I don't know. Is there anybody from universities here or not?
They'll try to look into it. Open up for the researcher to come in and provide us with all these research things, and so that we can progress from here. Okay, any other questions? If not, so before that, I think we like to inform here that we have the books available. At least the basic books available here. Penang Heritage Book. Usually we sell at $49.90, but tonight we are only sell at $40. And then the Nonya Heritage the Nonya Heritage Kitchen book, which is $139.90. Tonight we are selling at $120. So this is a good opportunity, and books are available now. Especially we like to thank Marcos for bringing all these books and to make it available for our people. Right? If there's no more questions, I would like to close this session here. It's time. Now, I thank all of you for coming here tonight. We have a fruitful discussion, and I will thank our speaker, Dr. Ong Jin Teong, for all the preparations and all the effort to make this session successful. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.